Hey, welcome back, Fast. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, crispy man?
I'm crispy.
Good.
Big A now to everybody out there.
Yeah.
Woo! We got going on. I see some people coming into the chat. What is going on, Blobfish King? At Blob. I see Hexagon lost in Asia. Yeah, I guess this is probably something to mention, right? What is the next big name in our ecosystem to capitulate?
What could he be referring to?
Corey Costa.
No, I don't think so. I think he's pushing HexScout.
Maybe it's the HexScout.
Oh yeah, who's teetering? Who's on the edge?
Who is on the edge? I don't know. So what did you hear about this HexScout thing?
Well, just what was on X, which was big. Well, let me just share it. Let's find it. There we go. Okay. HexScout. Hopefully they have not blocked me. No, I'm still here.
Not blocked yet.
Nope. So, okay. So, long story short, actually, I'm going to start on Richard's account because that kind of tells more of the story. And this is where I picked it up. So, first, I saw this Richard again hurling some mild insults about people who are not thankful that they have the second link on the front end of the hex.com website. Of course, he's referring to HexScout. Looking further, I can see that, HexScout is upset about Richard not meeting their demands. They basically posted this post where they go through and talk about various things, more or less making a public ultimatum for him to do some things that they want him to do, support devs, market the chain, appear in public, all things that most people probably want him to do. But they kind of phrased it like an ultimatum. And then when he did not respond, they essentially said that they're going to pull their service. They did so in a reasonably polite, extremely wordy way, but it amounts to the same thing. So I suspect Hexagon Lost in Asia is referring to HexScout, saying that they're no longer going to support their site. They kind of said that they would hand it off to somebody else if somebody else was interested. It is not a money-making venture, I can tell you this. But here we go. We are discontinuing operations of the HexScout DApp. A transfer to interested third parties may be possible in principle. I would hope they would do that for free because it would cost money to maintain and it would be a lot of work. So, and they've done that work. So kudos to them. But it kind of seems like they've almost reached the end of the race and then they gave up. Is sort of my perspective, but I understand that they're frustrated. So, I think they are the next one. Who's going to be next after them? Hard to say. Will it be you, Crispy? Are you ready to capitulate?
Not capitulate out, but I can see the frustration and why people feel that way. In this whole DApp area, if we go all the way back to Hex, it's actually kind of bullish in a weird way, which we can get to another time. But Hex.com isn't great. Is not great. It does not provide great information. It provides okay information.
Yeah, it's like minimum viable product type stuff, right? Like it's it's minimalistic. Lets you use all the functions of Hex. Mm-hmm. Like it doesn't do much else, does it? Except for providing a list of links.
No, but we do have some other sites, like Backup Hex. There's a couple other sites. The ICOSA
sites. You can stake Hex there.
Yeah. So I can only look at it from my point of view. This is DeFi, right? And we keep going back and forth between, hey, why aren't we centralized enough? Why isn't there somebody in charge, right? To No, this is DeFi. Everybody gets to do what they want. Back to, well, it'd be really great if there were services that did X, Y, and Z. All right. So here's what my opinion and thought is. It could be wrong. I'm open to feedback from people. Because I've been providing services too, but here's what I ran into. Everything to scale costs money. All right. So I can do one-off stuff, which I've done. I do a lot of. I provide a lot of free services, a lot of free data, a lot of free access. But to go to that level where somebody's like, "Hey, I have this thing that I want to do, and this question, it costs money." Well, why do I say it costs money? Well, for you to be able to provide a platform for that, unless you're just going to be on call for people.
Yep.
To be able to set that up, at the very least, it's hundreds of dollars a month, right? In the case of really good coverage, it's thousands of dollars a month.
Oh yeah,
Right?
that's
So,
assuming that you're not paying yourself too for your labor, which would be substantial with that kind of venture.
yeah, because we're just talking hosting and everything else to have the
Yep.
dApps, and you're going to be able to manage it, right? And so this is where we get into this weird confluence of we want a centralized kind of big box experience, right? That's what we want. I'm not kind of paraphrasing, maybe everybody doesn't want that, but we want that kind of service. But at the same time, the other side of our mouth, we're like, well, we don't want to pay for it, which I get, right? Because I don't want to pay for a lot of stuff either.
Yeah.
And then also, but we also don't want it to be centralized, right? And so
People say they don't want to be centralized, but they want the centralized features, right? So I think we're in like a teething time where they want the impression of decentralization, but they want the centralized features. Were the government to do a big crackdown or something that made it where being decentralized was more important, I think that could change really, really fast. But right now, like, yeah, people are looking for the Coinbase experience, but be able to say it's decentralized. So, and look at Coinbase, what they're doing with the base chain, which is kind of decentralized compared to a centralized exchange. Like I'd say that's the middle of the road, right? But PulseChain could turn into a version of that was decentralized. And I think Provex could be the ticket to make that happen.
it could be, and we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. In terms of these types of services, though, in my opinion, what I keep seeing with this stuff is, you get to the point where you can only get so big with the information. We got a lot of good people out there doing stuff right now. But you see other people kind of fade away. Why do they fade away? Well, because you get to a point where to really do that scaling, you have to do some sort of investment into it. And frankly, lots of times it's not appreciated, right? I mean, you get as much negative sometimes as positives. And then, so what's the next logical step? Well, you go in a direction where somehow you're earning, right? And so some people just blow right past that. Obviously, we see people who promote their services, charge for it. Also, have coins, tokens. They promote the tokens, and that's how they recoup for the service that they're providing, right? But then you get into this kind of gray area, like how many times? I'm not standing up for anybody, but how many times do people attack Piteous because they take a share of fees that they save? Not standing up for Gold Pulse, but that was a pretty good site and service, still is, but came hard at them over the charges, right? Well, how does all that stuff get paid for? Now was it the right amount? I don't know. I'm not that detailed. I'm just recognizing that to provide that kind of a wide spread service that's available to thousands of users costs money. That's it.
But what if there was a roundabout way that could happen? Like I've heard that the PulseChain marketing tablets were paid for by an anonymous donor. So what if an anonymous donor paid for some of these data sites and other like sort of key infrastructure items? That would satisfy me.
Yeah, sure. But if that was quote unquote going to happen, why wouldn't it be folded into? And maybe that's the long-term plan, to continuously upgrade over time the core systems that we're using, because you also have this issue of having too many one-offs that are somehow tied to,
Yeah.
the organization, but it's not controlled properly, right?
Totally. And we do have when like DBank went down, we had a whole bunch of kind of DBank tools for PulseChain, like wallet explorers. You can look at what's in your wallet, but like there's like 7 of them, and none of them quite do 100% of the job. Some of them are pretty good. The one Red Squirrel made is good. There's another one I liked. I can't remember what it's called.
PulseWatch from the OG system is pretty good. That's
PulseWatch,
another
okay.
one, but the same thing, right? It doesn't do everything.
No, and it's just on PulseChain, whereas DBank was multi-chain. DBank also didn't do everything, but it was pretty good. So like, to have a whole bunch of people building versus a central entity that manages and controls and maintains and upgrades these things, like you can see how the centralized version would kind of win. So yeah, if an anonymous donor wanted to fund and build such a thing, that would be cool.
Yeah, and again, I don't know if that happened or not, but maybe it would happen. Like you were asking me about it. I mean, from my purview for HexScout, what I've looked at with that, and what I know was happening is a lot of people using it for Hex go look at their stakes, see what they had for stakes, to go look at, what their emergency end stake calculations would be, to do some what ifs, that type of thing. Now, I'd like to thank the guys who did block Scout, even though I wasn't like a primary user of it, right? I mean, I have my own data, so I can go get whatever I need whenever I need it. But I appreciate the fact that they did so much onboarding and went in the direction they did. And I'm sorry that it didn't work out the way they wanted it to, but I also understand, I think I understand the position that RH is in. In terms of
I don't know. I think with HexScout, like maybe I don't see a lot of diplomacy between them and RH. Like if you make an ultimatum online, like what is the standard reply to if you don't, I will, right? Like the standard reply is no. That's the Canadian version. The American version is well, the Canadian version's no, sorry. The American version would be fuck you. So I just think it could have been done different.
Yeah, I don't know what it is in Canada, right?
Yeah, sorry. Just sorry. Yeah, that's it.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, I mean, that being said, so I actually had a conversation one time with RH. It was the only time I talked to him directly. It was on one of Maddie's conferences for 90 seconds.
Yeah, I think I've seen that.
Yeah. And, I think at the time we were talking about, I forget the exact wording, but what I'm taking back from it and remembering from it is having to do with the idea that, listen, this is DeFi, right? People are doing volunteer stuff. We're going to come and go. Meaning, like, I did a whole bunch of stuff. It was really good. A lot of people picked up the ball from some of the ideas I came up with. They went and implemented them. It's possible that the stuff I have isn't needed anymore, and that's okay. I mean, that's part of how this goes, So, like, as volunteers for a lot of this stuff, paid services are a different story. But for volunteer stuff, you do what you can do for as long as you can do it, and then you burn out, and then somebody else has to pick it up, right? Or we're not because maybe it's not even needed. But we've seen that with a number of different things that have kind of faded. Hex Vision at one point was out there and that kind of disappeared, and now it's the same guys I think are behind some other things, but that particular implementation went away. Staker app, people could argue about that, good, bad, why that happened. Hex daily stats, stake Hex today, and blah blah blah. But all that stuff is Hex centric, which is kind of where I'm looking at things, right? And clearly right now, other than speculating wildly on Hex and the fact that the price could go way up because there's a billionaire involved, there's not a whole lot of interest in droves of people wanting to know about staking information, right?
Agreed. Staking is not in fashion right now.
It's not. It probably won't come back. That's in terms of like being the being the bee's knees. It's not going to be the centerpiece. This stuff kind of moves along. A lot of people have already said that. Doesn't mean that staking won't continue. And that's kind of what I meant about some of this stuff is kind of bullish. We do have we had a lot of true believers in Hex that were following product market fit. I guess I would call them believers, not true believers, but believers, right? Say it's locked up a lot of Hex during the first cycle. And now that we're in the second cycle, the second third of a Hex lifetime, now we're transitioning to true believers, meaning there's several hundred people that are continue to maintain stakes and maintain their maintain their ladders and etc. And it's kind of I call it a walled garden.
Yep.
Because it's those people who are interested, want to, and see value in it versus, the great majority who do not see value in it. They see value in holding and speculating in order to trade. And that's okay, because that's actually how, as the great master had said one time, that's how value gets transferred, right? People buy high, sell low. That's value transfer.
Yep.
So that's kind of my spiel on that. Anyways, I'm thankful for everybody who does work and does try to help. And I'm sorry that's how this has turned out. But
yeah, well, I think maybe somebody picks it up, or maybe they resolve their differences and keep it going. I don't think it's 100% that this is a done deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, I think you might be right. All right. So what else is going on, man?
Well, we got the Provex sacrifice, which in my opinion is winding down. There's only $16,334,000 in there. And yeah, like since a week ago, it's gone up less than $1 million. Maybe it hits 20 million total, like by the end of the sacrifice period, not including what the OA might put in. So I think that's pretty substantial. Of course, the reason that it slowed down is it now costs 2.5 times more per point to enter the sacrifice, and that's going to keep getting worse every day. So I think that's bullish for people not selling cores to sacrifice. I think it's bullish that it's a low amount on Provex for the total sacrifice as well.
All right.
What do you think?
Do we think? I forgot there was even a sacrifice going on.
Well, it's pretty much over, is what I'm saying, right? Like it's, nobody's going to roll $100,000 into the sacrifice at the current rate, in my opinion, unless they're Richard Hart.
Yeah, so we're getting to the point here where toward about 3 weeks out from now, right? It's all over.
January 9th, which happens to be the last day of the Hex conference, is when the Provex sacrifice is over.
Yeah, so that's 1, 2, 3 weeks and 3 days, right?
Yep.
About 24 days after the first of the year. Well, that ought to be pretty interesting to see how that goes. and what happens. I guess any new theories about the OA getting involved at the end of the SAC?
Well, I think that's from like the past sacrifices, like the last 5 days where there's no volume bonus, is where the OA is most likely, and in my opinion, very likely to get involved and take up, based on what we've seen before, 95% of the tokens would go live there.
So what's the ramification if the OA does do it?
Well,
what are the effects?
From an outside perspective, and we're assuming here that the points for sacrificing turn into coins, it would mean that you'd receive less coins per point with a large quantity going to the OA. And from an outside the community perspective, that might be seen as negative. But from inside the community, I think people would see oh, Richard Hart has 90% of the tokens. He doesn't seem to sell his own tokens, and he usually buys them. So that's bullish. So to me, it'd be bullish. From some guy looking on from Ethereum who's never been on PulseChain and be like, oh, Richard Hart has 90% of the tokens. Maybe I'm not going to buy it. So he's aware of that effect. It will increase the market cap a lot, right? Because you'd have way more tokens. or one holder with a lot of tokens. So just like, yeah, the total market cap would be much higher, which has both positive and negative ramifications for advertising purposes. I think it would be bearish if the OA did not sacrifice and the entire coin distribution went to only the sacrificers. It would just way too many coins in way too few hands, and it would probably not perform that well unless it was forced to. So, but if you were sacrificing, like the metric to look at is not how many coins do you have versus how many Richard Hart has. It's how many coins do you have versus another guy who participated, right? I think that becomes the meaningful measurement of the tokenomics is how many do you have, what percentage of the coins you have, excluding the OA wallet, right? Like I don't compare my hex balance against the OA wallet. I compare it against everybody else, right? Like that's the meaningful number to me. And I think it'd be the same with Provex. I don't see why it wouldn't be.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of concur. I mean, I think it's more likely the OA gets involved than not. But I'd hold out there's a percentage, right? Thought in my mind that maybe he or she will not. We'll find out.
Yeah. And that would be a curveball, right? And curveballs can be good or bad. So it'd be a surprise. Or they get involved in a different way, like just market buying it, for example. That would be exciting. They want 90% of the tokens and they want to buy them off the market. I'm sure somebody would be willing to sell. But like, I think the Provex is going to be a tool to onboard to PulseChain, both literally in its the function of the application and for advertising purposes, with it being, something to point at, like, oh, look, this is exciting. This is on PulseChain. This is new. This is on PulseChain. I think both those things, both people using it as a fiat on-ramp or a crypto on-ramp to PulseChain directly with the functions of the protocol, and just, being the new thing that like maybe does 100x, right? Would draw lots of eyeballs too. And it's, we don't know what the liquidity situation is going to be. We don't even know what the coin distribution situation is going to be, or not exactly percentage wise. There could be some curveballs there.
Yeah, I don't know when that would launch, but we kind of have gotten the idea from some of the things that were said that a token launch would come closer than actual technology. And so I would say
right on the Provex account, it says the token itself can exist before the infrastructure that burns it is fully operational. So I think it could be a week after the sacrifice.
I would guess maybe they could do it faster, but I would guess that 4 to 8 weeks after the sacrifice, perhaps, all the data would be crunched and double checked and ready to go. It's going to take some time. Maybe it won't be quite that long, but I guess we could see. But I wouldn't expect anything immediately. I would expect to see that be launched weeks after, if not a month or so.
Why do you think that though? Like, you've said that before, but like this data set, and you understand data sets, is not very big at the moment, at the very least, compared to previous sacrifices, right? Like I feel like I could probably figure this out myself on an Excel spreadsheet in 3 or 4 days, something like that.
It's possible. It's possible. It depends on how detailed they want to get with checking the TWAPs, what they're going to be doing with the TWAP. They talk about daily TWAP, hourly TWAP. I mean, it's, and the double checking of all the transactions, and, and I don't know if they're going to do it. I don't know what the process is going to be, but in the past, there was a final list posted. People had a way to submit. So if you're going to run any type of submission process where people can kind of question what happened, you got to decide whether you're going to go forward with or without that, wait for that. I don't know. I guess we'll see. So perhaps you're right. Maybe it'll be days. Maybe it'll be immediate.
Let's say there was a way for people to submit, like, if you were like, okay, 99% sure I got everything, but there could be 1% errors, like 1% errors could be solved after launch as far as token distribution. You just keep a little pool on the side to take care of the people that you screwed it up somehow. Like, there'd be lots of ways to push it along faster if speed was important, which is not
Yeah, yeah.
necessarily the case.
In reasonable non-crypto world, yeah, I agree with you. But we are in crypto, DeFi. Try to get this the first time through, even though that's it's obviously a centralized effort.
Yeah.
I assume it's centralized. I don't know, right? Maybe they stitched together some huge program that doesn't. I don't know, but I'm assuming they got multiple chains. They got to do some things. I mean,
This could
we've
be
had-
something that AI really excels at. If you had an AI agent that was like the sacrifice checker AI agent, you could make it really good.
yeah, and we had some weird stuff happen, like like people, like the report that people are sacrificing PDI, and it's showing up as $1
Nice.
each, that type of stuff. And so,
Yeah.
those are the types of things got to get cleaned up, right?
Oh yeah, the PDOT guys will love that.
Yeah. Well, it was, I saw that. I don't know if you saw that post.
No, I didn't, but it will play into their narrative nicely, I'm sure.
Prove it. All right. So moving off. So we'll see what happens with Provex. I hope you're right. Maybe it's 2 or 3 days. I certainly wouldn't care. I mean, it wouldn't be negative for me that it happens sooner than later.
I'm most interested in the tech being there rather than the token. Like the token is cool and will draw eyeballs, hope people make some money, all those things. But like, I think the tech is what could really, make us a household name if it was done just right. I did a couple posts on that lately. I think there is huge potential in this if it's done correctly.
Here's another thing that's happening at the end of the year. Moving sideways off this subject. So I talk about Actuator quite a bit, and it's this Actuator protocol. And so a new Actuator token is being launched, and that's a new HTT. Hex time token to correspond with the end of the year, which is 7777 hex day 7777. And so this will be a little effort where some people will get together and they will stake Quattro Cinco at the end of the year, which happens to correspond with an end date of 7777. And so that'll be a new addition to the Actuator protocol and the other HTTs that are out there.
Okay. No, that's fun.
You'll hear more about that going on. Yep.
Yeah, I was just I was thinking Actuator today because I was talking to somebody on X, I can't remember who, and they were like, "Oh, we need a stable coin that uses T-shares for collateral," right? And of course, the conversation was like, "Well, you can't use T-shares for collateral because they're not liquid." So then then you move on to HSIs, which still aren't liquid. You can move them, but they're not liquid, so you can't use it as collateral. And then you have ICOSA that you can get from HSIs, but the price isn't right. It's not really worth it. What do you think of the concept of HTTs being collateral for a stablecoin?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, you could do that. I mean, they literally, T-shares and what they earn are literally the backing for HTTs. So yeah, you could utilize HTTs for that.
The only limitation would be liquidity in my eyes at the moment, right? Like you have this thing that's very closely tied to the value of Hex that's redeemable for Hex at a certain time that is 100% tokenized and liquid, right? Like it's not an NFT that you have to buy it all or nothing or like HSIs. So I think it's like it does fit the bill if the liquidity was there enough so that people couldn't abuse the system.
Sure. Yeah, of course. But I mean, there's some mitigating things you can do as far as quote unquote abuse of a system. But you currently have the Hex DC out there, which is a stable coin backed by Hex.
It is.
And so utilizing something like HTTs is very similar.
Except for HTTs represents staked Hex, which is, where I'm looking at tokenized, like T-shares as a collateral for a stablecoin. So we already have the Flex protocol that uses Hex as collateral, right? But it's not staked Hex.
Yeah, exactly. I could see that. And there are a couple guys or a couple projects out there that are doing some other stuff with Hex that perhaps you could look at too.
Okay.
Steakhouses out there, Hex One.
Yep.
I don't know how they fit. I don't know if they would fit, but there are
But
some other things out
Steakhouse
there.
is, I guess Steakhouse does tokenize the stake. You'd need, and it is fungible. So that fits the bill, but there hasn't been any sort of liquidity ever created. So you'd need like, and each Steakhouse stake has a different token that corresponds just to that stake. So you either need one huge one, like a $20 million hex stake, or you'd need you'd need people to like get together and make a plan to provide liquidity for those en masse. It would be much more difficult. Whereas Actuator, you're going off the day, like hex day 7,777, and people can continue to mint that token. So you could just have a more stable liquidity format. Then every hex stake is a different token, which Steakhouse does in it, which is cool, which is useful. But it's just be a little harder for this specific purpose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I'd be interested in hearing more about that and what you're thinking about. Hey, next topic up. What are the news from the Hive? What's the Hive news? I heard that they continue to get in new tablets. They continue to package. They're continuing to get ready to do more distribution. I'm not sure of numbers and all that. What's the good word?
Well, what I've picked up lately is that there's tablets going out to various conferences and stuff like that. More every day. There's people handing out these tablets outside of the framework of them going out in the mail. So I think that's good, especially if it's crypto conferences. I can't think of better audiences than that. There's also a push there was a push to get them on Amazon, and that is slower than you think it should be. I've done it once, and it's like a pain in the ass to get on Amazon. So I think there's going to be something where there'll just be a website where interested parties could go and purchase one or more to hand out or do whatever they wanted. I've heard a rumor that is coming soon. So don't quote me on that. Maybe the plan has changed, but last time I checked, there's going to be a Shopify store or something like that where you could buy a PulseChain marketing tablet for your own marketing purposes.
Very nice. Yeah, I know. Listen, I've seen. I'm glad that the people involved are continuing with the effort.
Yeah.
I think I understood. Maybe everybody hasn't been exposed to marketing like this before. I think I understood that this is going to be a multi-month effort. It's not instantaneous. I think I was doing the prep streams in the beginning. I was trying to kind of get that across to people. This is not something that you get a delivery on Friday and then Monday, the market goes nuts. This is a very long fuse.
Slow burn marketing. Like these things will have years of lifetime in somebody's house potentially. So you might be like, oh yeah, I should go to that website one day 2 years later and end up buying, but it won't be like a 3-day turnaround on the majority of participants. Though I think we have seen some. But like also people won't necessarily tell you that they're here because they received a marketing tablet. Like it may not be 100% trackable, but like I did see on sort of the proof that SJ posted the other day is that there's the tablets now come with, I think, 2 QR codes on them. I don't know exactly what those QR codes are, but I would think that there's probably some element of tracking to say like, oh, who scanned this, or not who, but how many times was this scanned? If they have a landing page involved where people are going to a specific landing page where they maybe learn something, it'll be much easier to measure the success, at least at that point in the conversion, than just sending somebody a tablet with hex.com on it and hoping that something happens. So with measurement, with advertising, it makes it so you can tweak it to do better next time. Right. So hopefully they have a way to measure success, which will result in them able to make it better and better as we go. But we're looking at 6 months before we really see a marketing pressure from something like this actually push real money into the chain. But I think if people have them and PulseChain does other good things, you'll probably start to see more people post about them, or more people respond to them in a favorable way when there's other favorable things to talk about.
Yep, I concur with that. I think that's what's going to happen. So I have hope for that. I know there's a lot of the negative Nellies out there, right?
Always.
The failure. All right,
Yeah.
we got a big question from Creative Crypto. You think about this, Mr. Fast. You boys think crypto is actually heading into a bear market? And if so, what it could look like?
Good question. I think if crypto in general is heading into a bear market, I would think it would be less down than last bear market. I think things are probably starting to stabilize a bit. So we'd see dips, but not as major in the big things anyway. Ethereum, Bitcoin, for example. And we also didn't see as much of a pump so far as we would have wanted. So, maybe with crypto maturing, we stop seeing, Bitcoin moving from 15K to 125K. Maybe it starts to even out in like, it dipped to $60,000 and then it went back up to 145, right? Like, that's sort of more mediocre, still fantastic ranges. And that could be the case. As far as a bear market, though, I can see I have a vision where maybe there is a bear market for the rest of crypto, and then PulseChain could have its bull market while the bear market was happening elsewhere. I think that would be fantastic for marketing.
Very good. Yeah, I'll give you my 2 cents. So obviously, we can't point to this cycle as being like all the other cycles, right? We have this 4-year cycle theory. So we are definitely in new territory. We have neither received, blow off top confirmation like we have in the past, nor have we received, at least I haven't received any signals that are telling me, hey, we're in a bear market. We're just going down. So that makes me wonder exactly what will happen, right? So I think I'm just moving along, right? We may be in this sideways kind of crabbing motion for a very long time. I think I heard Matty Allen talking about the possibility that we are in a bear, and people forgot that we didn't know we were in a bear. We're already in it. I don't know if I concur that's the case, but it could be. I mean, there are other people, right? I mean, I can go online on any day and I see a bunch of posts about the end is here. And then I see a whole bunch of posts about this is just the beginning. So it's the same old with crypto, right? Again,
I think the same guys can make those posts go back and delete the one that was wrong and leave the one that was right.
Yeah,
if I say every day the top is in today, eventually I'm going to be right, and I just delete the other 364 days.
Yeah. Well, here's where, of course, I like hex staking for this reason, because I only got one thing I got to do with hex, and when I'm staking is just stake it and then make decisions when the stakes come out. But in general, for crypto and PulseChain, it's kind of like always be buying and always be selling. And I hate that because that's like, it feels a lot like trading. But what I would say about that is, if we're going to be looking at some sort of protracted sideways motion, you got to make sure you're already been taken care of. I'm not telling people to sell at a loss or anything like that, but you need to look at things with kind of like a different eye. Of how you're going to protect yourself as you go forward. I mean, it's always good to have a plan, like I'm always harping on this idea that people should at least look at things like the PulseX stable LP token, right? And why not at least, cut a little bit of your investments, but so many people, put them into that where it's earning 6-7% APR, which is nearly risk free, right? It's stable to stable in that LP pool to earn a little bit. But, even then, I mean, so many people, the dollars are small, right? I mean, it's $1,000, $5,000. And so they're like, hey, I'd rather just YOLO. And that's okay too. But just be prepared that this could be a protracted 3, 4, 5 months. I mean, I've seen people talking about Santa Claus, right? Santa Claus rally.
Yeah.
I see people posting about a January rally. I see them talking about an April rally, a next winter rally. I have no idea, right? Other than we just have to watch and see what happens, and when it moves, it'll move. But what I can tell you is, again, looking at general crypto, we're coming up to a point on Bitcoin where things could get pretty bearish if it doesn't hold these levels. But Ethereum is much more volatile than Bitcoin, and I wouldn't necessarily say that it's going to follow Bitcoin. It has been, but it's lagging way behind. And then when we look at PulseChain, PulseChain is not acting 100% like in correlation with the rest of crypto. It's actually having upwards movements on days where the rest of crypto is not. And so I don't know if we're going, I have no idea what this is going to look like, right? And if we're going through some sort of decorrelation event and we're going to somehow not be following ETH and Bitcoin or what. But so, hey guys, this is brand new, right? Both for PulseChain and also for crypto. We're going to be watching this and then, you know, everybody will Monday morning quarterback it later about how they knew. But yeah, we just don't know what's happening. I wouldn't be rash to make any decisions, you know, to get in and out at this moment. But hey, it is DeFi. You do what you want, right? So
yep, and there's risk to everything for sure. You know, holding and doing nothing it's many times it's the safest choice. But like if you are into DeFi, like there are some options. So we have on PulseChain where we like liquidity forks. There's a bunch of them. There's a new one coming out from the Power City team called Edge that uses ETH for collateral very soon, I'm told. So like with liquidity forks, you're borrowing against collateral and you're borrowing a stable coin, and then you can farm with that stable coin. So that could be a middle of the road strategy where you're making some stable yield, you're holding some stable coins, but you could still repay what you borrowed and get back the collateral asset that you put in. So I think that could be something with more learning than I'm going to provide tonight that some of you could probably use to make some yield during, the next 3-4 months, if that's indeed the timeline that we have for, it not going up without selling your crypto, which I think is the big part of it that some of those liquidity forks enable is you can borrow against your crypto without selling it, but still get it back by paying back what you borrowed. So if the price goes up, you're still paying back the same amount you borrowed initially. I think that's sort of a key principle there.
Right. Very interesting. Yeah, and of course we do have people who continue to build throughout the ecosystem, and we do have things like the LPX, which seem to be doing okay in terms of earning for the people participating in those, and they have new lending protocols, and of course we still have liquid loans, and we've got that ink printer.
Yep.
We're
ink printer, yeah, liquid loans, earn, flex, ink printer. What am I missing? And okay, that's it. So we have 4 right now, and then Edge would be the 5th. Vault 369 would be the 6th. That's a little different because I'm looking at a multi-collateral upgradable thing, so it'll be more of a custom job. But yeah, PulseChain likes liquidity forks.
It does.
Yep.
Yeah, and of course the LPX guys are coming out with something called is it Loan X that they're calling it? They have their own loaning protocol where people will be able to put things up for loans there as well. So I haven't seen any details on it yet, so I don't know. But
yeah, I think they're that's on their roadmap, but it may be a little ways out. But yeah, they're probably going to throw their hat in the ring as well. I think more stable coins on PulseChain is good. We'll probably find some sort of critical mass where it starts to roll, and there may be a max amount of stable coins we can have on PulseChain. But so far, of the 4 liquidity forks we have on PulseChain on DeFi Llama, it rates them in the top 5 for total TVL compared to other liquidity forks.
Oh, nice.
Out of like 40, right? So I think, yeah, PulseChain really does do well. I think it's because of the level of the DeFi users that we have, right? People the more people are able to understand. Not everybody understands. People make mistakes, and it does require understanding. Don't rush out and jump into any of these things until you fully understand. You've read the white paper, all the things. But the PulseChain people, the Hex people are more capable per capita of understanding how a liquidity fork works and how you could use it to preserve funds or take profit or make profit, etc.
Very good. All right. So we're wrapping up. We're getting close to wrap up time. Do you have something else you wanted to nail, or I think we covered everything?
I think we've covered most of the good stuff here. It's been kind of a quiet news week, relatively speaking, which is kind of nice. I think we've had enough big surprises. But yeah, so how about you?
Nah,
Any big plans?
No big plans. Nothing different. I mean, I always talk about what I'm working on anyway, so just continuing to build. You know,
Yep.
looking for ways. I'm focused pretty heavy into Hex, you know, and the ideas behind Hex and how to talk about Hex. That's why I get off on these things, these tangents, talking about the walled garden, you know, looking at things like Actuator, you know, the other things that I'm finding are useful. I'm sure there's more things I don't know about out there. But
Could be. Yeah. Probably not much. I think you've been pretty thorough on that one.
Could be. But all right. And then I guess what's Eddie saying? Eddie's saying if we don't get above SAC, I don't know where to go where we're also going. Me too. I don't understand that sentence exactly, but if we don't get above SAC, I don't know where we're going either. We'll find out. We'll find out. You know, a lot of people might wonder why you and I are calm. Why are you calm? I'll tell you why I'm calm after you tell me why you're calm.
Well, every year as a man ages above 18, you lose 1% of your testosterone. So every year I become
not true.
1%. No, it is true.
No.
1% a year after 18, you're going down, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been gaining my testosterone,
but yeah, I'm 1% calmer every year, you know, and I just keep getting calmer by the minute. But I think the bottom line is that, you know, like we've all been through the blender, and the people who are still here, who are calm, have come to terms with like, okay, this is where we are now, and what's going to happen next from here, right? Like without the fallacy of looking at like, oh, I put in $100, so it's for sure worth $100. Be like, no, I have $50 right now. What's going to happen to my $50, right? And that's, you know, I think not having that the concept that like, oh, exactly what I put in is what I need to get back or more. Like, no, I'm just moving forward from today. This is the number today. What's happening in the future, and I'm always looking forward. I only look back to learn. I don't look back to regret. How about you?
No, very good. Yeah, for me, I just been through too many hardships in terms of markets, and so I've seen way too much. But in crypto, in particular, right, this is kind of how it is, right? I mean, the timing, is off. Nobody knows what the plan is, but you know what? 4 years ago, people didn't even really believe in the 4-year cycle, right? So I mean, and then everybody's believing in the 4-year cycle, and then it doesn't happen. So there's no regrets, right, as Matty Allen would say. So I'm kind of calm about it because the likelihood that crypto's around and that PulseChain is around is higher than it not being around. So what does that mean? It's going to have value. And so what are you going to do? You know, I mean, maybe you didn't get what you wanted, but you know, you can get out. It's DeFi, get out, or you can stick around.
Yep.
Try to put yourself in a better position. And now you learned a little bit more about how things work. I mean, that's how the rest of us did it or have done it. I mean, I'm still here, so I guess I haven't hit that success yet. But I'm waiting like everybody else. But I'm calm about it because I don't, you know, this is kind of like it goes roll with the punches. That's how it goes.
Yep. And like, sometimes you have to change your expectations, right? Like everybody FOMO'd into the PulseChain sacrifice, looking at like, okay, Ethereum did whatever 100,000 X's. How many X's are we going to do? And like, I think we've had to change our expectations, but like, it doesn't mean that there's not possibilities for fantastic gains. And certainly when I look at PulseChain from like a current perspective, try to take a step back and be like, okay, is this undervalued? Like community versus the value on the chain, participants versus the value on the chain. Like, yeah, it's major undervalued. Not even thinking of the billionaire guy who may or may not insert $1 billion. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of functionality and value that has not been adopted yet. So I see the path forward as more likely to be a success than the past, at the very least.
Yeah, and I think Richard hit on it today in the response to one of those posts where he's talking about persistence. Now, what I would, the fact that he's continuing to persist, and I think that persistence is one of the traits that can really help you be successful, right, long term. Doesn't fix everything, but never giving up seems to turn out pretty well for a lot of people.
Yep.
But we'll see how it goes.
And it is more time to build, right? So for us, it kind of works. I thought I'd be like, I wouldn't have time to build after September, right? And then that was October, November. Now we're in December. I still feel like I have time to build, maybe more than a month or two. So we should be good.
Yeah. Things are a lot quieter than we thought they were a year ago. They were going to be. All right, my friend. Well, I see it's time for us to go. I see everybody out there in the chats. Thanks for coming. Diehard Hexagon, Matty Allin, Tam, everybody else. So we do appreciate it. And so you guys stay crispy. We'll be back. And you gotta have if you have requests, send them in. And with that, we'll be out.
Yo, T, urgent hex buy signal. Charts flaming hot.
Golden ratio, huh? That's how legends stack T-shares. Get them while they're crispy, folks. This window won't stay open long.
Stake smart. Win big. Time rewards those who act.
Stay crispy, Hexicans.
You gotta move it, move it. Feel the rhythm of the blockchain.